Probably. I remember we were in New York, and John Paul Jones set a good screen on me, and I actually popped my eardrum, ruptured my eardrum just on a screen.
Whispers turned into headlines, which turned into a frenzy. Now the frenzy is meeting its origin. Caitlin Clark made a shocking statement about the rumored $100 million European megadeal that threatened to bring the WNBA's biggest star across the Atlantic just moments ago after emerging from a week-long internet blackout. As her live announcement rolled, cameras flashed, notifications exploded, and teammates froze. Will women's basketball undergo a permanent transformation at this point? Or a masterclass in leverage that none of us anticipated? Watch this space to see what she says next. The post that made all the difference. Caitlin Clark speaks up. Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA with a bang. She was drafted only days after concluding her incredible NCAA career, and one moment she was setting college records with Iowa, and the next she was the face of Indiana Fever. There was no easing into it, no break, and no rest. Nevertheless, she did more than just survive, she flourished. When she eventually broke her silence a few days ago with an emotional Instagram post that rocked the basketball community, it all reached a breaking point. Reflecting on a year that had completely changed both her life and the league, the message was filled with astonishment and thankfulness. Analysts and insiders saw it as a turning point, while fans saw it as an emotional occasion. A more profound change in the way women's basketball was viewed, played, and celebrated was taking place, something no rookie had ever accomplished before. It wasn't simply her WNBA season that made Clark's journey so astounding. Her famous final year at Iowa was followed by an incredibly quick move into the professional ranks. She didn't have time to regain her breath. She was being surrounded on campus one moment and shaking hands with Indiana Fever employees at the draft the next. The true talk in Indiana during that same March, when the NBA as a whole was booming, was about her. This is Caitlin Clark. The anticipation was a prophecy rather than merely media hype. Her presence was felt as soon as she joined the WNBA. She was immediately doubled by defenders, and even in her fourth game, she was up against some of the toughest veterans in the league. Her flexibility, however, was remarkable. She was matching the athleticism and pace, not just adapting to it. There were instances of hesitation, excessive dribbling, and insufficient mobility in the early games. However, that soon changed. All of a sudden, she was playing more quickly and intelligently, getting clean shots off the move, and flowing with her teammates. On one of her most productive nights, the Fever started to appear more like a team than a work in progress. Turnover was low, and she had excellent timing. People took notice. She began to receive entire montages from broadcasters. A highlight clip showcasing her whole year, from college records to professional milestones, was broadcast by ESPN during one nationally televised game. They included the moment she officially overtook Pistol Pete Maravich as the NCAA's all-time top scorer in both men's and women's basketball. That montage made a statement in addition to being a celebration. Despite its simplicity, her Instagram post seemed to capture a moment in time. She added, "As I think back on the past year of my life, I'm filled with gratitude. I'll see you all in the second year." In those brief remarks, she reaffirmed what supporters had been clamoring to hear following Indiana's playoff elimination: she would not be leaving. Her adventure was only getting started. However, what made this season noteworthy? Not just the passes, not just the points, nor even the 62 record she broke. When she described it as a dream come true during her first formal news conference, it was the spirit, the spark, and the emotion in her voice. It was everything there: the audience, the cameras, the legacy of Tamika Catchings in the front row. Caitlin Clark did not recoil. She talked on how Indiana felt like home, thanked her parents, and made fun of her younger brother for missing his flight to her draft night. She brought up the Pacers, the supporters, and the Fever organization, highlighting their proper methods. That blend of confidence and humility? Everyone was drawn in by that. She also acknowledged that she always had her sights set on the professionals when asked if she had ever thought about continuing her education. However, Indiana's proximity to Iowa and its top pick made it seem inevitable, almost like fate. And she knew it was the proper move when that draft night finally arrived. There is more to her tale than just numbers and awards. It is about a player who reinvented what it means to be a rookie in women's sports, accepted pressure, and carried the expectations of a new generation. This season, Caitlin Clark did more than just play basketball. She redefined its potential. Let's now look at the figure she shared, which had statisticians and analysts scrambling to come up with an appropriate description. Could there be so much weight in a single number? When Caitlin Clark, the rookie who ignited the league, put on the Indiana Fever's scarlet and navy, the WNBA received more than just a fresh face. It gained a storm with a grin. She scored 19 points every night, but that was just the news. She became the exceptional rookie who could direct traffic while still breaking the record, averaging 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and a steal. As evidence that a superb point guard views baskets as gifts to be shared, her 337 passes rewrote the season record. She transformed the hardwood into her personal chessboard one evening by slicing up a defense for 19 assistants. Soon after, she scored 2 triple-doubles, marks no first-year player had ever had, announcing that her vision extended beyond baseline. However, the stats only tell half the story. Suddenly, the Fever, trapped in years of heartache, pulsed with fresh vitality. National broadcasts pushed Indiana into prime times, tickets disappeared, and jerseys rushed off shelves. Oddsmakers saw that BetMGM was the only company still offering Rookie of the Year odds, with a startling 10,000 tag next to Clark's name, perhaps acknowledging that the competition was over. Then followed the intense barrage. Clark surpassed Ryan Howard's rookie record with her 86th triple. Fans started doing new math. The record set by Sabrina Ionescu is 128. There are 9 regular season dates left. Aim for little more than 4 three-pointers per night, particularly if the Fever's run continues into the playoffs and history could repeat again. Under her calm leadership, the team achieved its first 20 victories. 500 finish since 2015 and earned a postseason trip for the first time in 8 arduous seasons. Among devoted followers who had forgotten what it was like to triumph, hope blossomed. Studio panels continued to buzz, but what about Angel Reese? The Chicago forward was grabbing rebounds at a rate that defied NBA and WNBA comparisons. However, Clark's canvas became bigger, brighter, and more difficult to ignore when the whole picture, points, passes, leadership, and magnetism, was revealed. She demonstrated why with her second triple-double, a sharp October 24th, 10 against the Los Angeles Sparks. By halftime, Indiana had committed 11 turnovers, but Clark's composure prevented fear from spreading across the team. They changed course in the last moments, making more concessions than they made and defeating a team that was struggling to get momentum. The victory was sealed by quiet calmness and a series of astute choices that transformed pandemonium into calm rather than by spectacular heroics. The Fever backcourt is currently regarded by pundits as the most sought-after event since the Olympic break. Veterans once cautioned that advancements would require more time to steep slow-brewed Cuban coffee than quick powder. That flavor finally achieves a powerful, silky, and packed late kick after lengthy car journeys and extended cinema sessions. Something fresh is revealed with each matchup. Occasionally, a double team is threaded by Clark's no-look laser. On other occasions, she would draw defenders, hover in midair, and then zip the ball to a corner shooter. Defenses are stretched thin, not knowing whether to block the lane, chase her off the arc, or wait for the whistle. Every incorrect estimate creates a new highlight. The team store is overrun with goods orders, attendance is surging, and social media is exploding in real time. As evidence that Clark's influence extends well beyond Gainbridge Fieldhouse and Indiana state lines, even casual sports fans who were previously unfamiliar with WNBA narratives now analyze pick-and-roll angles over morning coffee. For the first time in years, watching appointment basketball on weeknights in Indiana is not only pertinent but crucial. Veterans murmur that the youngster may already be their spark and their rudder, and mirrors in locker rooms reflect self-assured smiles rather than shrugged shoulders. The season's clock continues to tick away among the cheers. Clark and the deeper legend are separated by 9 games, possibly longer if the playoff road continues. For someone who views far-off rims as friendly targets, 4 threes a night is a challenging but manageable summit. Like ripe fruit, records for assists, triples, and triple-doubles are close at hand. Every sold-out venue and every popular video casts a louder vote, yet the debate will continue until the final buzzer. In addition to shifting the league's focus and bringing new perspectives and voices to women's basketball, Clark has curved her own rookie arc. One question remains, though, as records shake and cheers thunder: are we seeing the start of a dynasty, or is it just a warm-up act? As we glide into the accolades, dominance with a smile, how Caitlin Clark took over the WNBA, keep your eyes focused. It seemed like a well-written sports drama as soon as Caitlin Clark took the floor during her debut WNBA season. She was more than just a basketball player. The records fell quickly, the cheers were loud, and the headlines hardly kept up. Every move she made seemed to have been practiced in the fantasies of every young fan who had ever dreamed of controlling the pros. Not only was Clark elected WNBA Rookie of the Year, but she also held the title. There are no shocks there. Even seasoned observers were taken aback by how effortlessly she made history and redefined what a rookie could be. She ignited intense all-star voting battles the same season, with Angel Reese receiving the most votes, a testament to the fans' strong bond with this new age of women's basketball. However, it was Clark's game that led commentators like Ryan Ruacco to declare her possessed, and you couldn't help but concur. She was unstoppable, precise, and in a zone. The star of the Indiana Fever had a talent for converting even her opponents into grudging admirers. It was all spoken in one viral moment. After a game, Kim Mulkey, the strict coach at LSU, gave Clark a hug that was both congratulatory and a confession of loss. It was all rather than merely respect. It's rare to get such a gesture, but Clark deserved it. She played with complete control, hitting her spots, reading defenses like an experienced pro, and delivering every time. Her calm, calculated, and totally dedicated style of play was compared to that of Larry Bird. Her footwork, court vision, and ability to draw defenders and punish them for IB. Giving her even a breath of room were all indicative of this. LSU paid a heavy price for allowing her to settle in early in one game and going under screens rather than over. Caitlin didn't think twice. Her left side drive into pull-up jumpers was one example of how she punished any mistake in judgment. A work of art with lethal accuracy. There was more to this than just hype. Over a 12-game period, her stats were astounding. 23. With 4 points per game on 47% shooting, she is the league's second-highest scorer, only surpassed by MVP Aya Wilson, the face of WNBA supremacy. However, Clark remained strong even in the face of a formidable opponent like Wilson. Rather, she was more radiant. Not only did she surpass expectations during her debut season, but she completely destroyed them. She helped the Indiana Fever win 4 straight games, return to prominence, and surpass 500 for the first time in many years. The numbers off the court were equally astounding, and when she played, it was more than simply a game, it was an event. In terms of both home and away attendance, Indiana led the whole league. Sometimes merely to see Clark's magic, fans flocked to venues. The Fever attracted over 15,000 spectators on the road and an average of over 17,000 at home. WNBA retail sales and the league's overall attendance both increased by almost 50%. Fans claim that it's up an absurd 450%. That's transformation, not simply popularity. She was more than just a basketball player. Future rookies may be as afraid of her new standard as they are inspired by it. Rookie of the Year, All WNBA First Team, and 4th in the MVP voting. These titles don't go far enough. Because it was conviction that Caitlin truly altered. She broke through the roof and took the entire league with her, redefining what was possible for a rookie. However, brilliance is never without difficulties. The burden on her shoulders increased along with her star. Every stumble and error was exaggerated by the same spotlight that accentuated her genius. And her now famous altercation with Kennedy Carter was the clearest example of that. As a result of tension building both on and off the court, the shove that made headlines on every sports network was not only physical but also emotional. It wasn't a basketball play, as Clark put it. And she was correct. The outburst of rage on national television was an indication of the pressure she was under at every turn. Carter, a gifted but infamously combative player, had already been pushing boundaries and accumulating egregious fouls. Their interaction felt symbolic. While some found it difficult to maintain composure, Clark's game was lighting up arenas. Her rookie season's highs and lows were encapsulated in this moment, which was a brilliant show of brilliance surrounded by murmurs of rivalry, animosity, and reckoning. Because even while her act got the audience on their feet, it also sparked deeper discussion, criticism, and occasionally even animosity. How could someone so inexperienced have such total control? Was it hype, talent, or something else entirely? Let's now explore how she has influenced a completely new generation of young women, altering not just how they play the game but also how they perceive themselves in it. What sort of legacy is she truly creating for women's sports going forward? Raising the bar for women in sports. Caitlin Clark is more than simply a basketball player. She is the catalyst for a completely new era in women's basketball. From packed arenas throughout the nation to a small-town gym in West Des Moines, Clark has emerged as the face of something greater than herself. Fans are reminded of Stephen Curry's influence on the NBA by her reckless style of play, which involves making long-range shots with confidence and ease. But this time, women's basketball is receiving the attention it so richly deserves. Young athletes perceive Caitlin as more than just a high scorer. They perceive hope. They find evidence that girls are capable of dominating and having huge dreams. Shea Ejuwoyi, a standout student at Arizona High School, stated it best. In addition to making the game enjoyable, Clark demonstrates that women are capable of playing with the same intensity, skill, and bravery as men. Although Clark's deep three-pointers may make the audience go wild, her whole skill set is what really makes her magical. When it counts most, pinpoint passes, astute defense, and leadership are crucial. Although she just became Division Lamar's best scorer in history, her real impact is evident in the way younger players now discuss the game. They discuss logo threes. They discuss vision. They discuss self-assurance. Clark is now used as a teaching tool by coaches like Sue Phillips and Tony Darden, who educate girls that developing all aspects of their game is just as important as shooting. Clark is equally strong off the court. She is demonstrating to young girls that hard effort and genuineness lead to great possibilities with endorsement deals from Nike and Gatorade. Caitlin Clark is not your typical athlete. She is evidence that women's basketball is forging its own path rather than merely catching up. And this is just the start. One thing we can't forget as the game grows harder, faster, and more intense. Not only did Caitlin Clark transform women's basketball, but she also redefined what was feasible. How do you feel about these most recent discoveries? Please share your opinions in the comment section and remember to like and subscribe.